now my pleasure to introduce Gordon Handy. Gordon's going to give us a few real live examples of business planning and practices. Over to you, Gordon.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm not too sure I'm the right person to talk about business planning because when I started my journey into business, if you'd asked me what an annual plan was or a budget, what cost of sales were, I'd have no idea. And how to read a set of financial accounts, didn't understand that either. So I've had to do a lot of learning on the way to get through business. But one thing that I have learned and I would like to share with you guys today is any business needs strong leadership. Number one is always strong leadership. I soon found out that when I bought more businesses, I actually couldn't do it on my own. I didn't know enough, and I ended up having to employ a board of directors. That was actually one of the best things I did. You bring in balance of people into the business with different ideas. They challenge you and make suggestions. And the board of directors is a great way of doing things. I know a lot of businesses now use advisory boards. I chose to use a board of directors where they had skin in the game. I think you also need to make sure you've got a very good business system, and there's some very good systems out there now, but recording what you're doing and getting numbers to work is most important. But one of the big things I think is don't be frightened to ask for help. The guys that have been here today have been talking about exactly about that. And a lot of the issues you have running business are the same regardless of the size of the business. The problems are the same. They might be a bit bigger, but they're the same problems. So please don't be frightened to ask. And there are things that the Chamber can help out with, these guys can help out with. You're not on your own. So if you're concerned, please ask. I think the other thing in optimising for growth is prepare for quiet times, because every now and then business does go quiet. And I've been unfortunate enough to go through 3 reasonably big recessions in business. But I've actually used those times to develop the business. One of them in particular is, buildings, doing things like that, where the pressure's not on the workplace at the time, so you can actually get builders in and disrupt your business, but actually grow at the same time. So keep cash reserves available for times like that when it is quieter and you can still carry on doing other things in your business. I think the boys here before were talking about different parts of business, and one part was optimising growth, which is what we've been talking about. We've also been talking about increasing profitability. And I still believe that a lot of that comes back to leadership and taking your staff on that journey with you. Everybody needs to be working together in a business. So if you can show the leadership, they'll follow. But you definitely need to have your staff working with you, and that will give you good profitability very quickly. Just remember where your cash comes from. Customers are always very, very important, and I think a lot of corporates underestimate the value of customers. So just remember where your cash comes from. And a favourite saying that I always used to use was put yourself in your customer's shoes. So if you walked in the door, what would you expect if it was you doing the purchasing? And that's what you should be doing to your customers at the other end. So put yourself in the customer's shoes. 2 sayings we used to use in our business, and it was we must all row the boat in the same direction. And when you've got 100 odd staff, you do need to try and get them all working together. Once again, leadership, but everyone has to be going in the same way, working together. And the other thing is get on the bus. If you don't share the vision of the leadership, or the staff don't share the vision of the leadership, they're probably the wrong staff. You really do need to work together. So everyone needs to be on the same bus. So 2 very useful sayings, and it worked well for us. Another one we've been talking about is manage your cash. And dead right, cash is king. So watch and understand your numbers, but also remember that numbers only record history. It's most important to manage your debtors, and the question I always ask is, why do we offer credit? If someone buys something, they expect to pay for it. You don't get a credit on a cup of coffee. So why are you handing out credit? Because it comes at a hang of a cost to a business. If you are in invoicing, why aren't you invoicing daily, or at least every week, and get your cash circulating? Because as I said, cash is king. To help that, KPIs, and we've just spoken about KPIs. We used to have a KPI actually on health and safety, and it's amazing how well that drove the safety of the business and the thought process from staff into health and safety. We also had another one on work in progress, so the goal was to get the jobs closed off at the end of each month as a maximum, but hopefully during the week as well, and we could get our weekly invoicing done, definitely monthly. So we had a KPI around that. So, but I think one big part of that is make sure you train your staff to understand numbers. It's all very well us saying that we need to make budgets and things, but do the staff actually know what that is? We undertook a program with all our branches that we actually, via Skype in many cases, and we started really right back at basic numbers of trying to get them to understand how a budget worked and what was in a budget. So they could actually understand if they spent some money, they couldn't actually spend that on wages. So it was really going right back to basic stuff. The payback for the company was phenomenal from that process. We actually lifted all these people up and said we went right back to basics and worked our way up. But once people understood the reasons why they had to make budget, why they were actually out there making money, that it made such a big difference. Plus, it's very, very good for personal development for the staff. But that would be one of the biggest paybacks we had. The other one I'd like to talk about is communication. And I know it's very hard because the first thing that everyone will tell you is that you didn't tell us, we didn't know about that. And you know, you can send emails out, you can talk to people, but the best way of communication is good old face-to-face communication, because at least you know the person understands the message. So when you're talking to your leaders or your senior people or any staff, don't be frightened to talk to them. Emails, texts aren't necessarily the right thing to do when you've got an important message to put through. Please, you'll find it works well. I think it's fair to say that I actually made my business on with relationships and trust. I would have customers that would quite happily ring up and order a $100,000, $200,000 machine without even seeing it, and knowing that I would give them exactly what they wanted. And I believe that's what you need to get to is a relationship of trust. At the end of the day, sales is all about relationships. So look after your people, look after your customers, and the rest will work out itself out. So that will be my spiel for the day, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you.